Hey guys, this is John. I'm playing GlenQuagmire in the 5-minute pool on ICC. This is a Family Guy fan, apparently, based on his username, if any of you guys watch that show. Let's see what he does against C4. Okay, so we're going to have a Indian system. I'm going to play knight F3, contrary to my usual knight C3 on move 3. Been playing around with that move a little bit more. Let's play bishop G5 and invite him to take on C4 and make this complicated. He does take. Okay, so we're going to get a mainline Botvinnik Variation. H6, bishop H4, G5. He seems to know the drill. I was looking at this line from the black side a bit recently, so I'm hoping that benefits me. When you're studying a very complicated line, I found you have to approach it objectively and consider it from both angles in order to get a true assessment of the line. So, all right, knight e5 is actually an old move. White wants to take this and sacrifice the queen. I believe rook a takes is the move. Rook f takes is also possible. My knowledge of the theory kind of ends right about here. So b4, I would assume that knight e4 is consistent. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, knight e5 was the move that Botvinnik himself originally proposed. And as far as I'm aware, he was very stubborn about that particular move. He espoused its benefits for quite a while, but nowadays they don't really touch that move. The top players, or even at lower levels, they don't really play knight e5. Okay, so c5. I can play the knight into d6 with check. He takes with the bishop. I take with my rook, hitting the queen. Do I get any benefit from that, though? I don't know. I kind of want to see if he ends up taking on e4. I'm thinking bishop e3 might be a decent move. Also, this pawn on c4 could be weak, but then again, he might put the bishop on d5 if I do nothing here. So bishop d5. This is a tough situation because I want to keep moving fast, but I don't want to go astray here. I might go bishop e3, bishop d5, knight g5, and try to attack f7. That plan might be all right. Knight d6 check just doesn't seem to lead to much. Yeah, I'm going to bring this back and see how that goes. He does play that. Okay, so I was thinking here. Attacking f7. Maybe queen b7 is a decent move, though, in reply. That would hold d5 and also hold f7. I'm going to pre-move that, though. Okay, I didn't have to. Maybe queen b7 would have been interesting. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so he says go ahead and take f7 because I have queen b7 check. That makes sense. Yep, I see your point. Gotcha. Okay, maybe knight e4 now? I don't like it, though. Knight e4, I'm walking right into a pin. I'm at 2:40. He's at 4 minutes, so he's going to have a time edge. What to do? I really would have liked to keep my knight. It'd be a shame if I had to go back with the knight right now. f4, he can give a check and then take g5. I'm kind of concerned about that line. Don't like the look of that. Rook d6, queen b7 check is nothing. Starting to think maybe I should have taken the other way. Okay, I'm going to go back. I hope this doesn't run into problems. If queen b7, I'm going to play king f3 and hope for the best. Defend the knight with my king. It's an admission of defeat a little bit as far as my plan goes, my original plan. Okay, so let's come here. If he takes, maybe I'll take with my king, actually, so I can get out of the pin right away. That seems like a good plan. Yeah, take with the king. It seems better. I mean, h2 is hanging, so he can go after that if he wants. But at least I'm not pinned along the h1, a8 diagonal. Knight e5 is one of those lines that maybe in an over-the-board game is a little risky to venture, but in a blitz game, if black knows it, and white hasn't looked at it in ages or only has a vague idea of what to do, I could see this being a valuable surprise variation. All right, rook takes h2 or rook d8. I bet he'll play rook takes h2, although then, I mean, I can check on d6 or play rook d6 and try to double up my rooks. I kind of like checking and going after f7. I just hope I'm coordinated enough to pull that off. My king is remarkably safe on e3, so if I check king here, take f7, his queen can't come in and create threats. I'm going to go for that. I have a minute 46, so I got to figure out something to do pretty quick. But I'm hoping that my f-pawn becomes a force after this. All right, so take it. I mean, what's he going to do? Because he needs to get at like e4 or f3, but his rook can't coordinate with his queen to create threats on those squares. Maybe he could try to get at e5, but if he plays queen c7, for instance, I just play knight d6 and block him. c3, okay. So he's opening himself up a little bit with that move. Let's take that first of all. Maybe knight d6 thereafter. Play c4, not taking. Okay. What if I give a check and then play my other rook over? Any good? I'm not sure about that. Maybe knight d6 is better. All right, let's do knight d6. Just want to go f7 and create a constant queening threat. If he checks c5, I might go to f4 with my king to keep it on a safe square. b3 instead. All right, let's do this first of all. Create that threat of queening. So rook h8, maybe rook d4. If I take, he takes, and he's on c3 then, is the thing. Maybe rook b1. I don't trust that. Okay, I'm going to go here. And then take here, I guess. Let's go here, actually. Support e5. Then we'll pin that. We have 45 seconds left. Complicated position. He might have... Oh, that's a good move. We can take this, though. If he takes a2, I have a check here, at least. Okay, then my rooks are coordinating. I can take here next move. King is safe. I'm threatening maybe rook c4. Yeah, rook c4, king d7, rook b7 check. That'll be mate. All right, I got a little time just to make sure that... that's not mate, but it's mate on the next move. So rook c4, king d7. Right, I'm just going to play it just because kind of got to hurry. Check here. Yeah, this is forced checkmate.
Checkmate.
All right. Well, crazy ending to that one. I get the feeling he maybe moved a bit too quickly down the stretch. Perhaps after I played knight e4, I bet there was a stronger way to play this right around here. This idea of king f3 and then king takes e3, while it worked in the game, I'm highly suspect about this plan. I think I should be worse, most likely. But let's take a look. So on move number 5, black has a big choice. So he took the pawn on c4. This is the most aggressive and consistent way to play the position. It leads to this Botvinnik variation, which is one of the most complicated lines in chess. I've played this for both the white and black side before on my channel. In particular, I had a pretty fascinating game against Humpy Koneru in the 15-minute category, if you want to search for that game. But this is how the line went. And this is all theory, so white temporarily sacrifices a piece, but this knight on f6 is pinned. It's not going anywhere. So even though, for the moment, I'm down 1 point of material, or actually 2 points of material, I'm going to get that knight back. Here, white can take on f6 right away, or they can play g3 first, as I played. Often they transpose. You want the bishop on the long diagonal in order to attack c6, and it's much better placed than if it had gone to like e2, for instance. So black plays queen b6. Now there's no longer a pin, so I should take on f6, I take with a pawn. Bishop b7, bishop g2, this is all theory, as I said. Yeah, so here, knight e5 is unusual. And it was proposed by Botvinnik originally, so it has to be taken seriously in that sense. And like I said, Botvinnik was adamant that he thought this move was better, but modern theory rejects that conclusion. So the main line goes c5, d5, b4, and here white has a choice between knight a4 and rook b1. And there's a whole massive theory. At present, theory says that this line is a forced draw in a lot of variations, but both sides have to know quite a bit. I mean, there's some lines that extend to, like, no joke, like move 30 or beyond. So we're on move 15 right now. And just you can tell the position is unbalanced because of the opposite side castling. And what's always fascinated me about these positions are that the fact that they kind of defy like classical principles when you have opposite side castling. Like if you're noticing when black plays b4 in this line, they're advancing the pawn cover on the side of the board where they're castled. And white often will do the same, like white will start moving the h-pawn. White's king tends to be a little safer in these lines than black's, but the positions are so insane and tactically complex and rich that you have to really know your stuff and know your theory if you want to venture into them. Not a position you want to be playing on sight. So knight e5, and this move is trying to get into d3 and also trying to attack the pawn, so white should take it. And even though we've given up the queen, I'm going to have a lot of play for it. You see his bishop on b7 is bad for now. Material-wise, we're dead equal. So despite having given up the queen, white doesn't have to sweat the material too much. Now, I wasn't sure. This is a line I'm going to have to go back and look at because I'm still not sure which rook to take with. I thought that I remembered rook a takes d1 is correct, but it very well could be that rook f takes d1 is also fine. I mean, I lose some protection of f2, but is that really a big deal? I don't know. If bishop c5, probably knight e4. Attacking the bishop, covering here. Maybe black can play bishop d4. I'm not certain about this. But rook a d1 was what stuck in my rook a takes d1 was what stuck in my head, so that's why I played it. And now b4. I'm just going to turn on the engine right about here. Knight e4, and then c5. So the engine already likes black. Let me just back it up for a second. And it likes rook f takes d1. But also here it likes black. Not really sure how much stock to put in the engine right now because this is a known line, and like I said, it's known to be in white's favor, or at least I think it is, given best play. But let's take a look at this one. Rook a takes d1, b4, knight e4 seems logical. c5. So I move the bishop back to e3. I thought this was a good idea, like giving my knight access to g5, but in retrospect, that plan didn't achieve much after some logical moves from both sides. If knight d6, though, I think takes, rook takes, and you can move his queen somewhere. I was thinking c7, but I could see why queen b5, as the computer advocates, is also fine. And if we trade the bishops, let's say, I mean, I'm hoping for excellent coordination here with my rooks, but my bishop could be a problem in this line. I kind of briefly thought about some variations where my bishop's just kind of hanging out, and I've got all these pawns on dark squares that are blocking it. Probably its best hope is to move back to e3, and maybe I can try to attack f7 or advance my h-pawn. In the meantime, I'd have to quell black's initiative with his pawn mass on the queen side. That's a pretty common source of counterplay for black in these lines, is that queen side pawn mass. Once that gets rolling, as you saw in the game, white has to pay attention to that pretty closely. So knight d6 seems simplistic, so that's why I didn't go for it, but I guess we'll see coming up if there's an improvement. Bishop e3. I think I would have been relatively happy if he took on e4, because I really like my light square bishop then. As long as e5 remains defended, I feel pretty good about this. So I don't think that would have been a great option for him. So instead he played this. Now the engine says just sacrifice on d5. Give up an exchange and then jump the knight in. Okay, so now we're down technically 2 points of material. We've got a strange material balance on board. I have 2 minor pieces plus, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pawns to his 6. Is that right? Yeah. So he's up 2 points of material, but I guess f7 and d5 will be difficult for him to defend. And if he plays something natural like this, I would assume rook d1. And I'm on this d5 pawn. Okay, that's a pretty specific thing, and I didn't even think about rook takes d5 at all, so no wonder I didn't play it. But I can see the value in that. d4, the engine says. Knight takes f7. Rook h7 attacking the knight. Knight g5, rook h8, bishop f4. Clear advantage white. Yeah, this is the type of thing you have to have some prior knowledge of, otherwise you're going to be suffering at the board trying to figure it out. So it's probably worth going back for me, at least, and studying some of these sidelines, even though I don't really play bishop g5 too much on move 5. Occasionally I'll play it, but knight g5 is what I played, but black seemed to find a good response. Take, and then he didn't let me get anywhere near the f7 pawn. And it's an empty threat for now anyways, because if I had another move, I can't play knight takes f7 because of queen b7 check, forking the king and the knight. So this idea was faulty. I would give knight g5 a question mark, no doubt. He played bishop h6, and I just went right back. Really didn't want to make that move. I spent a lot of time here. I spent over a minute and 15 or so on that one move. It's hard to admit defeat in chess, but it's a necessary skill you have to possess. And I call it a skill because I think it is. I mean, you have to be willing to, in chess, sometimes say that my idea was bad, and it's better for me to admit that and try to play the position than to be stubborn and try to proceed with an idea that's faulty. You got to have some objectivity and some humility. So knight e4, just going back, because I really didn't want to allow him to take and be left with that bad dark square bishop. Or maybe postpone the capture to until a more favorable time. So knight e4, maybe taking right away is better. But then I get knight d6 check in.
Check.
Okay. I was thinking if he took and I had to take here, like then queen b7 is extra unpleasant because I would have to go king f3, but it's hard to get out of the pin because I can't go to e3 in this line. Yeah, a move like rook h5 would highlight the fact that I'm kind of tangled up here with the threat of rook f5 and also maybe just taking on e5. So I do see now that I have knight d6 check, though, followed by taking the bishop. Makes it less clear. So knight e4, he played queen c6, I went king f3. I took with the king. Maybe he could have postponed that capture? I don't know. The computer says move the king, like king c7. That will benefit him later when he will not have to move the king at a time when I play knight d6. Because capturing on e3 does kind of help me a little bit, doesn't it? I get out of the pin. My king is pretty safe, as I described during the game. So he took h2.
Check.
I gave it check. The position is still sharp. I took f7, and he played c3. That's probably a decent attempt at counterplay. Because if he doesn't do anything, I'm just going to play my knight back and push f7, maybe rook h1 sometime in the future. I could try to deflect his rook. Even if I ended up losing a rook here, I might be queening if he takes. I wonder if I had that idea in the game. Go back and see. But c3, he needs to unlock the potential of this pawn majority before it just wastes away. So this is still a race position after all. We have competing pawns. I thought he was just going to take back here, but I guess then it's pretty easy for me to stop this pawn. So instead, he quickly played c4, trying to open lines towards my king, getting a little bit closer to promotion with these pawns too. So I play knight d6. This is just a instinctive move. I want to move my knight, get it to a defended square, and I also want to free up my pawn. The computer says knight g5 is better. Off the top of my head, I don't really see why that's the case, but I wouldn't doubt it. Maybe the pressure on e6, or maybe the fact that I'm not blocking the d file. Maybe I can reserve d6 for a rook instead. But when you're playing Blitz, you're often going to make moves where you have pieces defended, or you should make moves where you have pieces defended rather than on undefended squares. So knight d6 seemed like a more natural move in this one. So he played b3. Yeah, maybe he could have given a check or something, or taken here. Not sure I responded to b3 correctly. I guess we'll find out. I played f7, threatening the queen. Yeah, I didn't think of this idea during the game, so I played rook d4. That turns out to be a good move, but I wonder if rook h1 was ever possible. Trying to deflect his rook, so the idea would be, like, if rook takes h1, I'm just queening. But I guess in this case, he could always just play rook f8, and I don't know if I've gained anything by playing rook h1. There might be some other problems too, but simply rook f8 could be the answer. So I played rook d4. I'm happy the computer thinks that's the best move. I was just trying to block queen c5 check and also attack c4. Now, he can take or push, but then the pawn will be on its own. Like, for instance, if b2, just rook b1, and this pawn will probably perish. It's on the same file as his king as well. Maybe taking on a2 is more dangerous, but I thought I could just stop it after this. Queen c5, threatening to take e5. King here, getting out of the pin and defending. The engine claims +6, but I guarantee you with less than a minute on my clock and a complicated position still on board, I would never in a million years evaluate this as +6. This still looks honestly completely up in the air to me. But I guess the point is this pawn is not dangerous anymore. The f7 pawn is, and white's coordination is superior to black's. So he played queen c5 right away, though. I played f4. I thought about king f4. I don't know why I rejected that, though. But f4 also might be decent. Stopping queen takes e5. Then he went here, and I got the pin in. Okay, so it looks like I played pretty accurately in the concluding moments of this one. And queen a5 at first seemed like a decent attempt because he's hitting c3 and a2 with his queen. But I have this move, rook takes c4, defending the crucial c3 pawn. Now he can't take here because he's pinned. So he played probably the only other move. Queen takes a2.
Check.
And I give a check b4. He ran to c7, and I took here. Yeah, and now we have a position where, once again, my coordination is much better than black's. This knight on d6 helps out quite a bit. It's holding f7, and also it's assisting in creating mating threats around his king. Yeah, he's probably busted at this point. He played queen c2, and I mentioned I was going to pause for a moment and just try to find a mate.
Check.
Which I kind of did. I didn't say the line in its entirety. But I saw the mating pattern. Like, whether he goes to d8 or d7, I'm going to have a series of checks that lead to a mate. So he played king d8 in the game. But if he had played king d7, we have rook b7 check, taking away the e7 square so he can't flee. Here, and then just rook c8. Whoops. Rook c8. We've got the old lawnmower checkmate, roller checkmate. And as played, he went king d8. And I panicked for a second because I thought king d8 maybe gave him something, but it's just the same. Check here.
Checkmate.
And mate. Notice that pawn on e5 playing a crucial role at the end, guarding these two squares. So, okay, in fact, it looks like I played all right down the stretch in a pretty complicated position. I'm going to check on that, though, whether rook a takes d1 or rook f takes d1 is the move, because there could be a crucial difference between the two. Otherwise, I think he played all right. I think he maybe rushed the exchange on e3. That got him into some trouble. The position is complicated after that, but I feel like once I get my king here, I'm out of the woods. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.